All right, let's do this. Let's get this background music off, playing with some stuff. How do we do that? There we go. StreamYard's a pretty awesome format that I've been using. And I think the next step for me will to be getting to use like overlays and stuff, like graphics, and make it a little bit more entertaining. Pretty awesome format. So what I was doing there is why you heard some feedback just now. So I did a stream earlier this morning, and apparently there was a lot of cracking and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that this sounded just a little bit more crisp. Man, the ins and outs of audio recording. So I'm using a new microphone, and I realized what happened was my default setting went to my iPhone, and I heard it after reconnecting on YouTube, and I was like, why does it sound like that? And I was playing around with the features and stuff. I realized I didn't set the audio to my microphone. So if you're into YouTube, yeah, sometimes you have to mess around with these settings. So even before that, originally today at 9:30, I had a stream set up. 7:55 a.m. I hear my doorbell ring, and I'm like, who's that? I check my phone. It's my buddy Paul, and I'm like, what's happening? I go downstairs, and he's sitting outside, and I'm like, what do you want? What do you need? And I realized at that point that he had got the time wrong. Him and I are volunteering for my church later today. We have a Festa Italiana in Jersey City, and it is from 8 p.m. to 11. So he got to my house this morning at 7:55, and I was like, bro, what are you doing? It's PM, obviously. It's a carnival, like Zeppeli and games. It's not in the morning, but we ended up having breakfast and stuff like that, which is why it's delayed. Anyone coming in right now, just let me know how the audio sounds. Like I said, I just tried it on my iPad, and it sounded pretty good. It's an exciting day. We have Milan kicking off the season against Udinese. That's going to be a win. We'll get to that in a second. And then Inter take the trip down to Puglia, where they will face Lecce. And then tomorrow we get Roma going down to Salernitana. That should be, I think, a really interesting game, especially with that home crowd in Salerno. Thank you, Wolfgang. I appreciate you, man. So glad. So it's going to be a really, really great weekend. I'm super excited. And even today, I'm glad. I just saw that Mourinho's first press conference of the season came out, and I'm going to get straight to that. This translation came from Roma Press. Andy did this one, and let's get to that. So Mourinho back in the flesh. So nice to have him back and speaking. First, the Portuguese tactician was asked about Ancelotti's words of praise, and he says he knows everything about football, about his profession. He knows a lot about this club, about this city. So Ancelotti just won the only manager to win 4 European Super Cups. Supercopa. Yeah, Super Cup, right? UEFA Super Cup. So he sets that record. And of course, Ancelotti is a big deal around Rome because he was the former captain. So Ancelotti has, throughout his career, said that he wants to come back to Rome, that he wants to be a part of the city, yet he's never made that jump. But maybe one day, he's in his 60s, so maybe in a few years, you never know if Ancelotti will join the way that he wants to. But so far, it looks like Mourinho will be sticking around for quite a while. This season starts, 3 to 4 games are played before the window officially closes, Mourinho says. And obviously, that's something we don't like as a club. Making an assessment is now premature. It's better to wait and see. We got 5 players for a total of 7 million euros, and those players with this much quality for 7 million means we did very well. Evaluating now when the market is still open is premature. I want to wait. When you use the word frustration, you go way overboard. I signed 4 players and an excellent young goalkeeper. Frustration is too big of a word. I'm satisfied because these are all the players that I like very much. I've approved every single one of them. That's so important, that synergy between the manager and the management to get the player that he specifically wants. To me, that is a very big deal. By the way, if you're tuning in now, please spread this throughout Roma chats and whoever else likes Italian football. We'll get a lot of people in here in comments. He says, I would like to applaud the club for what they have done so far in the market. I still need something more in order to have more balance, be far more secure. But I can't not applaud what the club have done so far. On entering his second season with the club, Mourinho commented, "Usually entering season 2 means having more time for proper teamwork and greater awareness as to who we are and the players we have. When you change countries, as I have often done, you understand football culture much better and the philosophies of other teams. I would say that it's just a general rule for all coaches that conditions are better in their second season. In Europe, to do better, we need to win the Europa League, and there are teams that have unparalleled economic potential." So Mourinho is definitely mentioning your English teams right here, right? Because the amount that even a mid-table club in England can spend is probably more so than one of Roma's most economically tough transfer windows. So I look at a team like Nottingham or even Brighton getting 60 plus million for Cucurella, and these figures are just so hard to compete against. So when it comes to the European arena, I think what Mourinho is echoing here is that the expectation is on the English teams to always win because of their financial power. Mourinho says, "For the league, we will do the best we can. We finished 6th in the league last season, but the squad has improved. The others have also improved, and that is why during this period, I am amazed at how some people talk about us differently compared to the way they talk about other teams. For example, the Scudetto. Milan and Inter finished 25 and 23 points ahead of us last season. Have they improved their team, and why are we labeled as candidates for the title? Question mark. There is a lot of noise around us because we had an interesting match against Tottenham and a nice win against Shakhtar. Nobody talks about other teams. Lazio spent 39 million euros. Are they candidates for the Scudetto?" Ooh, Mourinho coming strong. Talking about us and the Scudetto seems to me like trying to sell a product. For us, the Scudetto is the love of our fans, the sold-out stadium, and the bond that we have built together. That is what we won already. The time that is very important is 13 months. Someone like Ancelotti understands this, and he doesn't sell smoke. Ancelotti trains the biggest club in the world and wins. There are many people who sell stories and who do not sell the truth. The truth is that we have improved the squad, but we want to do better. He's moving now to discussing the back line versus the back three, which Roma used predominantly last season. So he's asked, "Our central defenders feel better this way. Our fullbacks are better at 3 at the back. This year, other players have arrived. Of course, we have the opportunity to play with 4 at the back, but we have to work on it." So it looks like ultimately Mourinho does want to return to the 4-2-3-1. That's like the real vibe I'm getting from him, in that he's not totally comfortable, but rather he's adjusting to the players that he has on his roster right now. He has to find a way to get Spinazzola, Zalewski, Karsdorp in more comfortable positions, and he's doing that by adapting tactically. Now, I don't know too many other top managers who adapt their formation, like especially during mid-season. Top managers are system managers most of the time, especially in modern football. I think of Pep. He's going to go out and play the same way. He's not adapting to the guys he has. He has every single player that he wants to the T, like carte blanche. So there's something to be said for that flexibility we see in this Roma side under Mourinho. Further into the squad, he says, "I don't want to hide the fact that we have some limits, but we also have great potential. I hope we can become a team with 2 dimensions, one being a team that knows how to manage pressure and not suffer, and lose the way we did with Juventus last season." He's mentioning when Juventus won after playing like 20 good minutes out of the 90, and they came away without any points. It was a 4-3 loss for Roma in Torino, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. I hope we can become a team with 2 dimensions, as I just said. The second being a team that is strong and dominates, taking charge of the game as soon as possible. Finally, on facing Salernitana, he said, "I want to congratulate their manager, Davide Nicola, who must win Coach of the Year. He did an incredible job in the second half of the last season. As always, I expect a match with many hard emotional aspects and difficult episodes. It'll be difficult. They spent about 40 million on the market, and they got better." Interesting. I didn't realize that, but it's true that Salernitana, since the winter, have spent tremendously, and it's by listening to Walter Sabatini why they ultimately did get salvation, because Nicola would not have done that without the players that Sabatini grabbed for him, such as Ederson, who has since been sold to Atalanta. Let's get back to Roma in a second. I want to discuss the first games, the first which are going to kick off this season. And one of that is Milan Udinese at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's in just over an hour for me in New York. This is going to be, how do you put it? David and Goliath, I think immediately off the bat. Udinese not so dangerous, but we'll get to their squad and where they can pose a threat to this Milan's well-oiled machine that AC Milan has become. So some stats, not so good for Udinese. Milan haven't drawn any of their last 10 on the first match day of the season. They won 5 and lost 5. But Udinese have Milan have only lost just 1 out of 10 of their last against Udinese. So, it's not in Udinese's favor today. But Milan start with a 4-2-3-1, Pioli's specialty. Magic Mike at keeper, Calabria, Kalulu, Tomori, Teo Hernandez, who I think should be in the top 5 for Ballon d'Or. The midfield gets switched up a little bit. The 2 anchors, the 2 pivots in midfield, Benacer is matched not with Tonali, who is in a fitness doubt, but actually with Krunic. Messias, Diaz, Leao across the attacking 3, who are supporting Giroud. Udinese goes with their 3-5-2. They just sold their best player, most important player, in my opinion, in Molina, who left for Atletico, where he joins Udinese's ex-captain, De Paul. Some other players that you might be familiar with, Messina, or familiar to Serie A. Messina, I believe he played for Bologna a few years ago before being shipped out of the league. Now he's back. Wallace should be, guy who can hold his own. And Udogie, who should be going, Udogie, let's go with that. He should be going to Tottenham within the next week, but he will stay on a season-long loan at Udinese. I like Udogie because I think that he is going to be an Azzurri player, so he's one that I want to keep my eye on, even when he's off to the Premier League, because I think that's a special player right there, Udogie. So look for big things from him. In the back half of the season last year, he scored the majority of his points, goals, and assists. So he really turned it up, the teenager. Andrea Sotil is the new manager of Udinese. He's a former player of theirs. And you might know the last name Sotil because of his son, who now plays for Fiorentina. Or if you're a little older, I didn't remember his dad playing. I feel like that's such a unique last name that I would have remembered it. Last year, he brought Ascoli up for a promotional playoff fight in Serie B. Of course, Ascoli did not go to A, but the year before, he took Ascoli out of the relegation battle in Serie B and got them to a comfortable spot. So he's this type of, fighter type of coach that you get from Serie B, these guys who specialize in salvation. It's a different story now, though. Udinese is one of those teams who always float right around the bottom, right around the drop, whether it's from 15th to 17th. They're all often flirting with relegation. So, but I think that this squad will be good enough to get them to stay up at least another year. Milan's going to win this one, guys. I can't see Udinese pulling points out unless Deulofeu has quite the match. So he scored 13 goals last season. Deulofeu, really dangerous attacker. This seems to be the league for him. I wouldn't rule out a move to Napoli for him just yet. So the Mercato does end the 1st of September, meaning we're going to get 4 matches before the window closes, which is, of course, because of the World Cup. But it's such a unique thing where the big boys are going to be able to fill in those gaps with quality players. So let's see how that shapes the season. Because I think that is a novelty, or not novelty, but a rare, unique thing that the league is going through this year. I thought that maybe they should have opened the window sooner, maybe, because I don't know. It just seems like an unfair advantage to the big teams when you allow them to adjust after 4 matches. Going on to Lecce Inter at 2:45 Eastern Standard Time today. So that would be 8:45 p.m. if you're on Italian time. Lecce are the Serie B champs. They have to be respected. But Inter are unbeaten in their last 11 against newly promoted sides. Lecce are the club to have played the most matches on opening day with a win, that being 16. Inter's mercato to me was pragmatic. They bring in Aslani, somebody who can cover for Brozovic, their most important player. They get Bellanova, 22-year-old right back, somebody who I believe will be an Azzurri starter sooner or later. And then Onana comes over from Ajax. Onana is a very interesting player. He's from Cameroon. Thanks, coach. Thank you there. Like that. So a Cameroonian keeper. He's mentioned how being a black player has been something that's been a difficulty, a black keeper, in that the stereotypes about, this is him saying that people believe that black keepers make more mistakes, which, you learn these things when you invest time in learning about different players and people who are different from you. So I really was intrigued to read his comments lately. So after playing for Eto's academy, I loved watching Eto play. What a heck of a striker. He joins La Masia for Barcelona, and from there he moves on to Barcelona's B team and then gets promoted to the A team. He enjoyed a lot of success in Ajax, who played some tremendous football in the past few years. Of course, we remember how close they got to the Champions League final and lifting that up. They were just such a team to watch. The amount of talent that comes out of Holland is phenomenal. And of course, with Ajax being the biggest club, with PSV a close second, they get access to just the best talent pool, which makes going to those matches so much fun. So we went in 2018, my buddies and I, we just had such a good time. Shout out to Rick from Roma Club. Romanisti Olandesi, I think, is their group, actually. And he took care of us for the tickets. And it was just so much fun in the sense that, like, it's not overpriced as American sports are. It's not $150 to get in. It's like, a few bucks. And most of the people are season ticket holders. So Ajax, what a team. Very cool. And I think I became a fan of them when I went to that match. On to Sunday's match, as we've got the ticker going on the bottom. Let's recap Roma's mercato so far. Mourinho mentioned that when you spend only 7 million euros, how could you be considered a Scudetto favorite? How could you really be compared to teams like Inter and Milan and these teams which have splashed serious cash? And he's got a point. We see Svilard come in as the backup keeper, young guy who hasn't really played in a high level yet at all. Matic, a guy on the back end of his career. Dybala comes in for free. Now that's Mourinho talking, right? He can make a narrative which takes the pressure off his players, which is why I really admire him. I think it's such a vital or a fundamental aspect of a manager to take that pressure away from the players and put it onto his coach and say, like, no, there are no expectations and don't put those on, because what that means psychologically is that unwanted pressure will not be positive. Think of, putting expectations. Has that ever made a team play better or a person behave differently? No, not for a positive sense. So he's so good at that. But what I do see in Matic is a guy who enters a bit of a slower league compared to the EPL, where I think that when he joined, I was thinking he could play like 50% of the matches. I think it'll be more. I believe Matic will play in 65 to 70% of Roma's matches throughout the season. He will become a really important aspect to that midfield, whether it's a 3-4-2-1 and he's in the middle, or a 4-2-3-1 and he's more of an anchor. It's going to be a good one for Matic. You could already see when he steps on the pitch that the midfield is just a little bit more confident, more stable. Their zonal and where the guys need to be just looks a little better, so the players feed off that energy, that leadership quality that he imposes. Dybala, I don't want to go on a tangent. You know that I love him. You love him. Can't wait to see him do his thing. Wijnaldum comes in on a loan. I mean, the midfield's been totally reworked. I don't know if it's over just yet. I wonder if there's going to be a Thiago Pinto surprise coming on. And then, of course, Salik. So I would like to see Salik tomorrow, especially if Roma gets that lead. You get a guy who's a bit more defensively fluent than Karsdorp. Karsdorp, who has come a long way defensively. But it would be interesting to see Salik get some minutes. So the Conference League winners should go to Salerno and take this. There's no reason for them not to get 3 points. But Davide Nicola is a survivor specialist. But we'll say that we've seen some of these players go into the background. Ederson, he's been sold. I thought he's definitely their most important midfielder, most important player overall. Hard to say because Sepe was really good in the back half of the season for them. Some other familiar faces, Guillaume and Fazio at the center back role for Salernitana. So some aging ex-Roma guys. Koulibaly, who we remember not only for the likeness of his last name to the other Koulibaly, who's now at Chelsea killing it, but also Bonazzoli, who came up with some ridiculous goals last season. I think I remember a bicycle kick for him, or maybe that was Juricic. But yeah, Bonazzoli's an experienced guy. So they've got tools there. They're hyped up because of the moment or just that, that home crowd spurring them on. Maybe they'll just try to get, a quick counterattacking goal or hold on to a 0-0, a point which could be really valuable to Salernitana further down the line. However, I do expect Roma's quality to overcome Salerno. I just think that feeding off of last year's momentum, that maybe they scored 2-3 goals. If I'm not wrong, last year, Roma also faced Salernitana in the first match of the season, and they scored, I believe, 4 goals. Abraham got on the end of it. I don't really see a defensive matchup for Abraham. I think he can really take advantage of those center back pairings. So let's see how that goes. I do really feel positive. I think Roma's going to come away with 3 points. I'm very excited. I'll be at Roma Club New York tomorrow. At least that's the plan. If you're in the area around Jersey City, come to Holy Rosary's Festa Italiana tonight. It should be a lot of fun. Just checking through the comments now. Thanks, guys. Give it a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Spread it on Roma sites and stuff like that, too. Go to asroma.com. You will see the roundtable discussion, which I helped Roma with. Today is posted on the main site. So thanks again. This was very cool. And I'll be back for the post.